At this point, I would say it is movie night with JL Media, but it kind of isn't. This is a live from episode. We're meshing the two, Mitch. Movie night is the live from. Mitch Ross, how you doing, brother?
I'm fantastic, Johnny. You know, I feel like I just saw you recently, and I missed you while I was gone.
Technically, I felt the same, brother. Technically, we were live an hour ago with Movie Night with JL Media and Transformers, the fifth, I guess, installment of the series.
The last night, yes, indeed.
But we are going live once again with Scarlet Lane Brewing and Horrorhound for the Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yes, sir. I'm very excited about this. Now, we're doing a series of films. Once a month, we bring in a horror film. We show it at midnight on a Friday night. And, you know, we have the special beer from Scarlet Lane available. This week, we tapped a keg of Dorian Coconut Stout, which is delightful. We've also got some of their special Horrorhound brew in the cooler. And we hope everybody comes and checks it out tonight. The show starts at midnight, but we've got a meet and greet up on the mezzanine so that people can, grab a couple beers and chill out and hang out for a little bit, maybe grab some fried food. And
we have a full event going on here tonight at midnight.
Yes, sir.
But we will get into that in a moment when we introduce our guests from Scarlet Lane. But we got two new guests, brand new to the mic, rookies.
Who are these gentlemen?
JL Media today has two new interns, and I met these guys by chance. They were interning for a company that nobody likes, a conglomerate really, and they walk up to me and ask me a stupid question. I said, guys, come intern with a real company. I'm sure they thought I was an idiot, but they trust me enough to be here. I have DeAndre.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
My man, what school are you in, brother?
I go to Wittenberg in Ohio.
How'd you get in Ohio?
From Indiana, so I just looked around schools in like Midwest, and I found a school by Dayton called Wittenberg.
Gotcha.
And I was like, well, I like it here.
Both marketing majors, right?
Yep.
And my man Noah.
Yep.
Noah is from Chicago, I've learned. I spent more time with Noah than I have DeAndre. DeAndre's too busy for me. But Noah is a safety with I almost said Purdue again. I almost did it,
No,
Noah.
not Purdue.
With Butler.
Yep.
And what brought you to Butler from Chicago?
Oh, really, the football program and the placement rate at Butler, those two factors really drove me to make my decision to go there and play football.
Okay, and what sent you into the marketing field?
Love talking to people. That's pretty much my main thing. I don't want to be the type of person that's stuck in a cubicle looking at a computer screen all day and doing spreadsheets and stuff like that. I'd rather go out and meet new people, get to know people, and kind of build relationships with that.
Well, now, looking at a computer screen isn't all bad. I mean, I do it a lot. I do it a lot. But we have a lot of fun.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Remember, this is about an R-rated movie, but we got to have PG-rated broadcast tonight.
For the most part, yes.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We do get off topic here at Hamilton 16 IMAX quite a bit.
Yes, sir.
Without a
Lots
doubt.
of segues. Our segues have segues.
Absolutely. And you're the general manager here, Mitch. How long have you been with Hamilton?
Well, I've been in the industry for about 20 years, and I opened this theater in April of 2008.
2008.
Yes, sir.
Very cool. Very cool. This is going to be interesting. Now, you guys don't know this about me because we haven't really discussed this, but I'm a huge horror movie fan. I love horror movies.
Me too.
And I know other guys love horror movies, so let's go ahead and introduce our other guest, Mr. Joshua. Is it Hall?
It is Hall, H-U-L-L.
Okay,
Hall.
that's because I've tried to call you Hill and Hall and all kind of
You
things.
can call me anything you want to.
Joshua is a horror movie fan as well. First
What's
off,
up, Josh?
Hey, Mitch.
tell us what you do with Scarlet Lane Brewery, brother.
All right. Well, I am the assistant brewer for Scarlet Lane, as well as the horror liaison, which is that's a real position.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that happen? You're the only brewery that has one, aren't you?
We are.
Okay, that's a big thing for me. I like that.
So my relationship is I'm a filmmaker outside of the brewery. And so my love of horror meshes with what the brewery is trying to do. Being sort of the official beer of horror, what we try to do is With our Horror Hound relationship, we make a beer for Horror Hound.
Sure, yeah.
And then we're trying to do a lot of stuff with horror in general. So because of my relationship with independent filmmaking and everything else outside of that, they came up with this position called Horror Liaison, where I sort of go out and, I do the midnight movies, I pick the films, and then outside of that, we're trying to do a lot of different things with the brewery.
Sure.
With horror.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Halloween 1. That's always my go-to. It's my favorite movie.
Rob Zombies, right?
Oh, my God. See, you're so much younger than me. I can tell it already. This
No,
is how it's
actually,
gonna
here's the deal. I love John Carpenter's my favorite. That's my favorite film of all time. Is the original Halloween.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That's a great movie.
I take your suggestion.
Broke the mold.
Tell us what you have in front of you, bro.
All right, so I have some Laughing Water. It's our Laughing Water. It's an Australian sparkling ale, but this is the tangerine version.
Oh, that's the name of it, too.
So, yeah.
Okay, I thought that was...
So,
Okay.
This is sort of our mimosa version of a beer. So
Gotcha. A gateway beer.
Yeah, so I brought this for, I don't know if you fellas are old enough to
Well,
drink
one
it.
of them can be, yeah.
Yeah, so
One of them can have one next week. He can take it home, put it in the refrigerator until next week.
we're going to drink that.
We're gonna hold that for you in our
We're
tummies.
going to hold that. I'll take care of that.
We'll tell you all about it, Noah.
So, yeah.
How did you become a brewer? Or an assistant brewer?
Well,
or?
I'm still working on becoming a brewer. It's just I'm learning with Elise, who is our CEO and our head brewer.
Sure,
She
yeah.
brews all the beer. I'm her assistant, so I'm learning everything through her.
Gotcha.
I knew nothing about brewing beer. All I knew about beer that I like to drink it.
Sure.
Before
That's
I started.
what I know, yeah. That's what I know.
So everything, I'm just learning it all as I go. I've been there for about a little over a year and a half.
Okay.
And so I'm learning everything.
How'd you get turned on to that brewery? A year and a half, I'm assuming this is your first brewery.
No.
See what happens when you assume there, DeAndre?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Yes.
And you don't get this. He gets 2 now to hold in the refrigerator. You see. They were pretty close to my house. They're in McCordsville. I live in Fortsville. Or
Okay.
Fortville, not
Sure,
Fortsville.
Fortville, yeah.
That's the relative. So I had been going there for a couple years. And then just because of my relationship with them, I got the job as cellarman, which is the beginning position at a brewery,
Sure.
which you're kegging the beer, you're doing all the grunt work sort of deal.
You have a mop in your hand a lot.
You do.
And buckets, yeah.
Yeah, not a beer bottle, but a mop. And
Yep.
you're just like, how do I get to the beer bottle in my hand the whole time, And that's where the assistant brewer comes into it. And so, we were moving up and promoting,
Sure.
and that's kind of how I got the assistant brewer gig. It's just putting my head down, learning how I go, and luckily enough, I got that position.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
yeah.
Is that a wedding ring on your finger?
It is.
Okay, now I understand your love of horror. Anyway,
Yeah.
I hope she's not listening. I'm talking from my
She is
experience.
definitely not listening.
Okay. We're good to go then. How did you pick this movie tonight?
Well,
The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
yeah. It's a different one. It's pretty scary, I think, in my position. I thought it was pretty terrifying the first time I saw it.
The first time.
Yeah, I've already seen it one time.
Okay, just
One
once.
time,
I've seen it
one
just
time.
once too.
Yeah, it just what'd you think of it the first time?
It's very interesting. Creepy, weird. No, it's not terrifying. It's creepy.
It's not terrifying.
We're horror fans, so it's not terrifying at all.
It
is
What do you think is the most terrifying film you've seen?
Oh,
terrifying.
that's a good
Oh
question.
my god. That's a good question.
Because you have a big scope of what you're comparing this film to. So
Well, exactly. I've been a horror fan since I was a kid, so I think the very first time I saw something like Hostel was terrifying to me.
Hostel was
Yes.
terrifying.
I mean,
Okay.
Saw wasn't, but Hostel was when I first saw it. And I'm going to back up and regroup on that. I was a grown man when I saw Silence of the Lambs in the theater.
Okay.
And I was working at a construction job in Fernandina Beach, Florida. And I went back to the hotel, because we were staying in the hotels during the week. And I literally, as a grown man, looked under the bed before I closed the door. And
After
true story.
Silence of the
After
Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs,
No-
which is tame by today's measures.
Silence of the Lambs is great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a great movie.
Yeah.
Well, just the acting in itself, with Hopkins is.
I have to say, Silent Rage is the movie that scared, like as a kid, that movie scared the crap out of me. And it's a Chuck Norris movie.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
That's
But
not
dude,
even
that
a
guy-
horror film.
Yeah, my buddy John and I were talking about this the other day. That guy scared the life out of me, man. Like nightmares for weeks.
Man.
What about you guys?
Noah, do you have a favorite horror movie? We're talking horror tonight.
I don't really have a favorite horror movie. I'm a fan of a lot of them, but it's really hard to pick a favorite
scared
one.
Do you like supernatural? Do you like slashers? Do you like gore? Like
I'm
when
more
you-
of a fan
demons.
into probably supernatural.
So when
Yeah.
you go to bed at night, where you're like, "Geez, I hope this blank doesn't come in here." Who is
Wife.
that?
Well,
We all
Or
talk
jealous-
like that before
Jealous
we go to
husband, one of the two.
bed. Yeah.
I would really say, God, it's tough. The scariest movie I think out there is James and the Giant Peach. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. I don't know
Speaking of
why.
peach,
James.
we have tangerine laughing water.
But yeah, growing up, I watched it with my sister one time, and just all those bugs living on that peach. It's just, I don't know why, but it just freaks me out. And I just can't watch that
every
movie.
time somebody talks about a vegetable or a fruit or everything, I always think of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that film?
Yeah, George Clooney
I'm not
remembers it with
I'm
his $1 billion tequila deal this
Yeah.
last week. Yeah.
Yeah, Clooney.
Yeah,
huh?
nice.
Let's talk about Clooney. DeAndre, we're coming to you, brother. Do you have a favorite horror movie?
Mine's probably Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
man.
yeah.
My man. There you
original
go.
or zombie?
The original. Yeah.
All
There
right.
you go.
Masterpiece.
Yeah, the one that scares me the most is Jeepers Creepers.
That's
one,
a good film.
That one scares me. I had nightmares for weeks watching that movie.
That's a good flick.
Yeah, that one.
What's great about Halloween is, if you imagine it as a big bloodbath,
Mm,
but not really. I don't
There's
think there
no
was
blood.
any blood
There's
in it at
no-
all.
yeah.
To save money on budget, yeah.
Exactly.
They did
Well,
everything
in
off
part
screen.
2, they changed that.
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
they went right to the hospital, and there was a bloodbath in several scenes. But, and that was the one I always loved about it. I watching it on the big screen here in the flashback series at Hamilton 69 IMAX was phenomenal, because they're supposed to be in Haddonfield, Illinois, but you're watching on the big screen and you can see the palm trees in L.A. behind
Yep.
them.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be Halloween in October. It's supposed to be the fall. And yet there's leaves blowing around. One bag of leaves they kept moving around. but
How long did it take you to notice that fact?
I think I was a grown man. But,
Okay,
and
yeah,
I've
so-
seen it easily 100
So
times.
seeing it for the first or 30th time, you don't even realize.
You know what, Johnson? I still love it.
Yeah.
I know why they did it. It makes
Yep.
perfect sense,
Yep.
and it makes me feel more of a part of the film instead of just a fan.
Yeah.
How do you pick the movies that you do for the
All
Midnight
right,
Movie
so,
Series?
Yeah. Well, we're just trying to do things that, wouldn't normally see a big screen release here in Indiana. And that is a wide variety of films that don't usually come here. But what we try to focus on is that independent side of horror, not the indie, but the studio indie
Sure.
or the micro budget. The things that are seen either national release or worldwide release at some scale, either film festival wise or otherwise.
Right.
Not your typical wide release 4,000 screen type film.
Sure.
We're sort of focused on the things that would maybe see 50 to 100 screens nationwide, and trying to bring those here to a market that doesn't usually kind of get that sort of film.
Right. Now, what do you do you're in film, you said. Are you a filmmaker? Are you a gaffer? Are you a sound guy?
Somewhat of a film.
See, I said gaffer like I knew what the heck a gaffer
you did.
was.
You
but
see, don't even say that. Just say, every time you say gaffer, people will just be like, this guy knows what's up.
apparently
like-
you don't listen to our
Yeah.
shows because nobody says that.
Because
Who is this buffoon that's talking?
hey, listen, as a guy who's been on film sets, I'll be like, where's the gaffer? They'll be like, we don't have one. It's not in the budget. I'll be like, okay, all right, well, okay, all right. No, no. So I've made 3 feature films here in Indiana.
Uh-huh.
We've premiered every single one here at Hamilton 16 IMAX.
Okay.
Throughout from 2010 to 2015 is probably
Gotcha.
we've screened here with my film. So yeah, I'm a
Very
writer,
nice.
director, producer, somewhat, I guess.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I know, well, a couple of close friends of one of my other shows, a hairstylist and a makeup artist, do a lot of the independent films here. And for some reason, they get shout-outs a lot on all my shows.
What are their names?
Julie Powers and Shy Shark.
Okay.
They usually
not
work
on my
together.
films, but I'll shout them out anyway.
There we go.
Shout out.
There we go. What are your 3 films you've done, brother? And where
So-
can we find them?
Beverly Lane was my first film. It's
Okay.
a zombie comedy, sort of Shaun of the Dead meets The Office.
Oh, very cool.
Not really available anywhere.
It's not one you're hiding, is it?
No. We actually, you know what? We sold it out here twice. And so it was pretty fun to be able to sell it out at the theater that I go to a lot.
Those are fun nights.
We've sort of held that to a standard. Mitch and I share a mutual friend with John, named John, and he kind of holds all my stuff to a standard of that first film. And he's like, well, I know this one film that sold out, you know, and so every time I don't sell out, he compares it to that. So it's a lot of
Right.
fun for me to go through. My second film was The Impersonators. Superhero comedy starring Josh Arnold of the Bob and Tom Show.
Yes.
We had a lot of fun making that. It's sort of 3 amigos with superheroes sort of deal. That is available at josharnold.com. A lot of fun, a lot of local people. And then Chopping Block is my latest film, which is Friday the 13th meets Horrible Bosses. A lot of fun. Starring Michael Malone, comedian Michael Malone, who was one of the finalists of Last Comic Standing.
Right.
And then, so that's available on choppingblockmovie.com, lcfilms.com. Those are going to be the 2 places you can find it. So, yeah.
From Pendleton, Indiana, with a background in creative writing, food services, restaurant management, and nerdery.
Are you reading my Facebook page?
Yeah, I got your bio right up.
Yeah,
No, I
you
got.
do. That's
I'm
not my
on-
official bio.
No, I'm on the Scarlet Lane page, brother.
Yeah.
I like
Oh, really?
nerdery.
Yeah, nerdery. That's a new one. That's
Well, the
I would
Scarlet
drop
Lane,
my kids off there.
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the Scarlet Lane page is very cool, by the way.
Yeah, it's neat.
The clouds that on the mountains that kind of roll, they
Yeah.
do it in just, it's on repeat.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it looks kind of eerie. It looks more like fog than the
We-
clouds. I like that.
We try to do eerie on a regular basis.
Is Miss Elise a horror fan as well?
Yes, Elise is the founder, CEO of Scarlet Lane, also the head brewer. So she's a gigantic horror fan, as well as her husband, Nick, who is the other owner of Scarlet Lane.
Uh-huh.
The 3 of us are probably the biggest horror fans in the company.
Right.
So,
I had an idea for a title we might want to bring back because it's been getting some heat lately. Good heat, not bad
yeah,
heat.
yeah.
Good heat.
The Mist.
Bout you go wow, wow.
The Mi-
Wait,
I
yeah.
love the Mist. Black and white?
No,
I haven't
the-
seen it in black and white.
Oh, you haven't seen
That's
the
the
black and
original.
white version?
Yeah.
I saw
right?
it.
Well, see, it's coming
There's been
back.
3 incarnations, right?
Oh wait,
because of the
Hold
TV
on.
show. So you're seeing a resurgence in it because of the TV show.
Am I thinking of the right thing? Stephen King.
Thomas Jane?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're
That
bringing
was the
it-
latest movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a remake.
Which, oh God, yeah. Which ended horribly.
No, that
no,
wasn't a remake, was it?
That was a that was
based
the
on
first
a Stephen King novella.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Novella, 70-something pages, 73 pages.
There's the one that John Carpenter made
Okay, that's the one I'm thinking about.
with
The
the
Fog.
ghost
The
pirates.
Fog.
Right.
The Mist is the different.
Would you believe I'm not drinking over here?
Not
this
yet.
guy has drank an entire 6-pack. I brought it, and the rest of us are like, "Where's
You're
our
right.
beer?"
That's the Fog. I'm thinking of the Fog,
You're
Yeah.
thinking of the Fog,
which was not as good as the Mist.
the Mi-
No, really. The Fog was what 80.
He's
You
got his
guys
hands on
can't
his
see
hips.
me putting my hand on my waist, but I am.
And
I am
he's giving
so
me that
in.
look too.
Yeah.
Don't start wagging the finger now.
That was what 80. It had to be in the 80s.
Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, man,
Like,
yeah,
that's
I
a
was
different- well, a young Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can't compare her to a Thomas Jane movie from like late 90s.
Thomas Jane, so you're talking about a hot
Punisher?
chick from the 70s and 80s.
Compared to Thomas Jane. And you're saying
No,
that
I'm not
Thomas Jane is better than
I got to.
No, I'm saying the movie. I'm not talking about.
tisk, tisk, tisk.
Okay, see, he's
Tisk,
doing that
tisk,
like they're
tisk.
like I know. I just saw a Thomas Jane movie on Netflix. It was absolutely flipping horrible with Bruce Willis, and I watched the whole thing through. The Resort. Did you see that?
No, your first clue to me
Oh.
was Bruce Willis, and I don't watch those things.
Okay.
Lately.
But you'll
Bruce
talk about
Willis
how-
does good work
Yeah.
lately.
And he's doing a lot of independent stuff.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
workaholic like I am. But the fog and the mist is two different things, is what I
Yes.
just learned.
Yes.
Both.
Guys, you're gonna have to just jump in here at some point if you like to. 'Cause
Have you
look,
guys
just
seen The
ignore-
Mist?
No.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
The Mist is amazing, and you should totally watch it. Netflix, Amazon, whatever.
The
And
Mist.
and it's okay to go, oh my God, at the ending because everybody
It's
does.
got
It's
one,
the
it's got
wor-
one of the
yeah,
most
yeah.
polarizing
No,
endings
absolutely.
ever. In
Wait,
a
which
movie.
one has the creatures?
Well, the
Is it
Mist.
both?
They both have
Okay,
creatures.
okay.
One has ghost pirate creatures.
Yes.
Okay.
And the other has Lovecraftian, scary as hell spiders busting
the
out
heck
of
is this?
Oh,
human
spiders,
bodies.
dude.
Okay, like
Nightmares for life.
Yeah.
there's
bro.
a body. There's a scene where a body falls.
Yeah.
They find this body. He falls to the ground, and his body just breaks apart into a million spiders,
Oh.
and it's cringeworthy. It's like
Oh.
it's horrendous.
It's fantastic though.
But
It's so
it
good.
is. It's one
Like,
of those.
it's
It's
that
one of
good
those
scary.
theatrical moments that you just wait to watch with a crowd. And you're right. We should do that. We should do that.
Yeah, I mean, Collider just did a write-up on it the other day. I go to a lot of sites, but Collider's good for reviews and stuff sometimes. But yeah,
The thing about it is because the TV show's about to come out, and it's very different apparently from what the source material and what the movie is. So the TV show's going a different route. So
I've seen one
we'll
trailer
see.
for the TV show, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure how deep I can get into it.
Well, it looked like the people were the problem and not really the
Yeah.
creatures from the mist. And so
Funny
when
how that works out on the small screen, isn't it?
when you're changing the whole what the horror factor is of it, it does have a little bit of impact and an impact on the excitement for the source material or what you think is the source material.
I got to see a trade screening of it before it came out. Like,
The TV show?
no, the movie.
Oh,
Like 4 months before it came out, right? And like we walked out and I was like, that movie was amazing.
Yeah.
And everyone around me was like, you're crazy. They were furious, like they were ticked off.
I gotta tell you, I remember walking out of it being pretty ticked off.
Yeah. But that's good art, man.
It is. It is.
You know what I mean? When it gets you to feel, it's
But it's a different kind of like being ticked off walking out of the mist and being like, damn, that wasn't what I thought it. Can we say damn?
You already did, so
Oh, yeah.
you've established.
So we've said that.
yeah,
All right.
set the
Yeah. So
standard.
I guess I shouldn't ask you permission. You can't even drink a beer. But
Yep.
being
two
angry,
college kids sitting here who have never had beer
Yeah,
in their
exactly.
life. We discussed
Nope.
this earlier.
I'll
Nope.
walk you through
Beer
it
free.
later, guys. But there's a difference between being the kind of angry that the mist leaves you, where it's like there were multiple options that you maybe could have took with that film, and then being like the angry of like the happening, where you're like, oh, well, that just angered me because it was a stupid concept.
Yes.
The different kind of anger that you can get from filmmaking and from horror and the genre in general is there's a big difference there, I think. So.
For sure.
Well, let's back up a little bit. What movie terrified you?
Okay, so the first film, there were two films that really three that terrified me when I was so Jaws was the first film that really scared just everything out of me. Everything.
Right. I can
You
see
name
that.
it scared it out of me. And then Halloween, my mom decided that'd be a good idea to show that to me when I was like 7 years old. I've had an irrational fear of Michael Myers ever since. Even when somebody has a ringtone of the Halloween theme pop up and I hear it, I jump up and I'm like, where's the safest place? A closet. That's got to be the best place, right? It's not. It's not the best place.
So we've learned.
Yeah. And then The Blob, the remake of The Blob, really terrified me.
Oh, the blobs.
No kidding.
we're kind of this. We're about the same age.
It was the first movie that made me cover my head with a
The
pillow.
movie theater scene when it's like dripping in from the
yeah,
vents in the
it
back
was-
of the room.
It was horrifying.
That's it's ironic. That scared me so bad about going into movie theaters, and now I run.
And
one.
now you
I never
run-
thought about that.
And you're scared of
I've
them
conquered
still.
my
Yeah.
fears.
No, you
I'm a
have
real
not.
man.
No.
There's
Little-
no, you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about though, where
Yeah,
it's
I
dripping in
do.
through the back of the theater,
That's
man. I
good.
freaked
But
out.
Scarlet Lane introduces a blob feature tonight where it comes through the back of the back of the theater, and you're going to be there, and you're going to be like, I thought I conquered this. It's, and
Dude.
Scarlet Lane ruined me.
Dude, I made a huge mistake. I was running a movie theater in Jefferson City, Missouri. Okay, and it was when Crazy Tim's Planet of the Apes came out.
Oh, Crazy Tim. Crazy Tim.
I can't remember Tim's last name right now.
Burton
Burton. Tim. Crazy Tim Burton.
only made 2 of the best Batman movies ever made, but Crazy Tim.
Well, I mean, he's
He's
out
all right.
there, bro.
He's all
He's out
right.
there. I mean, whether I like his art or not is irrelevant. He's crazy. Anyway, so I thought it'd be a good idea to have my housekeeping manager at the time put on a gorilla costume, and during the opening scene of the movie, run from the back of the theater to the front, like slamming his fists on the ground and hooting and hollering. And man, did that backfire
Yeah,
on
that's a
me.
pretty bad idea.
It was a terrible idea. This woman comes out. She's like, "How did y'all get a monkey in here?" And I was like, "It's not." And like, I had to have him come up and take his mask off. And she was so mad at me. I thought she was gonna beat me to death. I kind of had it coming. So I don't do stuff like that anymore. But I
Now I understand why you feel the way you do about Tim Burton.
yeah, just saying.
It's an irrational. It's pretty irrational, Mitch.
Oh, come on, that can't be a scarier movie out there than Fatal Attraction.
Well, it
That
depends.
scared the shit out of every man in America. I don't know what you're talking about over there.
Well, I was like 10 years old when that movie came out. So
See,
like,
I wasn't.
was like,
As-
wow.
and that scares me now just thinking about it.
Well.
So we shall move on. Midnight Movies, presented by Scarlet Lane Brewing and Horrorhound. How'd you guys get tied up together?
Well, so I've been going to the Horrorhound conventions for years, and they have a convention here every
Sure.
September. And when I started at Scarlet Lane, Gen Con, Sun King does a beer every Gen Con for, to celebrate gamers and the gaming aspect and all that kind of stuff. And so I thought, why don't we do the same thing for horror? Why can't we be the official beer of Horrorhound? And I pitched it at Nick and Elise, and they loved the idea. And so the 3 of us put our heads together, and then we took it to Horrorhound, who I had connections with, and luckily enough, we all kind of agreed that it was a great idea. So
Sure.
yeah,
A monthly midnight streaming series at Hamilton 69 IMAX right here.
yeah, that's where we are.
Beer, horror, midnight madness, contests, beer ticket giveaways.
Yeah,
Where did all this come from? I
we
mean,
do
we
it
do
all.
a full event. So do we have different sponsors that come in and for gifts to give away, or
Well,
we can't really give away beer? That's just sacrilegious. I mean, if you come over to the house, I'll give you a beer. Not you, Noah. Well, after
Not
next
quite
week.
there
but-
yet.
Well, see, we want everybody to feel like they're coming up to their house. We're asking people to leave their house at after 11 p.m. You
Sure.
come here midnight.
That's exactly the way I was describing this theater to Noah earlier this evening. This is home for us.
It is.
We're sitting in our living room right now, so it's a beautiful thing.
I love this theater. It's not just because Mitch is sitting here. I've been a regular here for years and
Uh-huh.
years. I've premiered all my films here. This is my favorite theater in the state. I love coming here, and so it was a no-brainer to bring midnight movies here.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm super happy. The one thing that we haven't mentioned yet is like horror fans are a very loyal, very specific group of people.
Yes,
and
we
there's
are.
a lot of them. Like I can't tell you how many people I've met in my life whose favorite genre of movies is horror movies. And it's like anything that's scary, anything that's gnarly, like the gnarlier, the scarier, the better. Like they just dig it. And it's always been that way. I remember like there was this group of friends in my like junior high, when I was junior high age, right? And they all had, now, how old are you guys?
21.
20.
Okay. There
you
used
can't
to be
have this beer, man.
There used
He's
to be
got
a
1
thing
week
Next
to go.
weekend. Next weekend.
in America called magazines. They were made of paper and they were full of pictures and stories. And like these guys like had was it Fangoria and Gore Zone,
Famous Monsters of Filmland.
Yeah, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And so it was like, you know, they knew everything about this stuff and they were obsessed with it. And I always think of those guys whenever I'm showing horror movies and stuff, or for doing something like this. Those are my guys.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And this movie's pretty cool, man. It's got Brian Cox in it.
It's Emil Hirsch.
Emil Hirsch, he's awesome.
It's scary.
Different generations, and they work well together. I've never thought about these actors together.
You know, the weird thing is Brian Cox is sort of like, everybody knows who he is,
Uh-huh.
but nobody knows who he is.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
You know his face.
that's who Brian Cox is. And for Brian Cox, his performance in this film is spectacular. Same with Emil Hirsch. You know, it's for them to bring their talents and what they do in this film to this film.
Sure.
It's astonishing because nobody would be talking about Autopsy of Jane Doe without these two actors. You know, and that's the benefit of having actors believe in
Sure.
your work like this.
Well, it's not a huge cast anyway.
No, it's not.
And there's not a whole lot of different scenes. I mean, you're literally, there's a house, there's a
Yep.
funeral parlor upstairs and downstairs, and then there's out in the front yard.
It's what they like to refer to as the elevated genre film.
A classic
so it's,
independent
Right.
film is what it's saying.
elevated genre. It's something that you could put in one location,
Uh-huh.
attract A stars,
Sure.
A-level stars, and make it for $500,000, maybe $2 million, $3 million tops. And
I wonder what the budget was on that.
You know, I don't know, but
Andre Overdal,
Yeah.
Ovredal was the director.
Yeah.
He did The Tunnel. Did you see that?
No,
I
I
did.
did not see it, but I saw Troll Hunter, and I freaking
And Troll
love
Hunter's
Troll
awesome.
Hunter. Yeah.
Like Troll
Oh,
Hunter's
yeah.
really cool.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you see Troll Hunter, Johnny?
I did.
Did you like it?
It was very cool. I wouldn't say like. There's very different levels of like with me.
Here's the deal.
I like
Did
it.
you
I like-
appreciate it? I'll put
yes,
it that way.
yes, I
okay.
did.
All
for
right.
what it was.
You know, they were Chris Columbus was kicking around a Troll Hunter remake for years and years, and they finally killed it this year, and I'm super excited about that. I would love to see a Chris Columbus Troll Hunter, but I also feel like Troll Hunter's brilliant, and there's a reason why we got Autopsy of Jane Doe, because he proved that he was competent and he could carry a film like this without stars. And so, you know, Chris Columbus remaking Troll Hunter does nothing to raise his bar as a filmmaker.
Right.
I mean, I generally feel. I mean, when they remade Let the Right One In,
Yeah.
and made Let Me In, which I think might be the best vampire movie ever.
Agreed.
I've not seen the remake. I was so upset of like Let the Right One In might have been my favorite movie that came out that year.
But here's the deal with the remake of that is they respected the source material. And Matt Reeves has gone on to not only like cradle this Planet of the Apes remake trilogy, but like own it to the point where he is getting acclaim from everybody. And he took off films to do Let Me In. And now he's doing the Planet of the Apes. Now he's getting the new Batman film. And it's just amazing where you say, okay, well, Let Me In, you think would be...
Everybody said it was great.
And it was really good. Nothing's going to compare to Let the Right One In, because it's a fantastic film. But Let Me In was not this sort of, you know, everybody looked at the Carrie remake like it was sort of this, you know, abomination on the original. That's not what Let Me In is. I think Let Me In is its own thing that Matt Reeves lets speak, and then Let the Right One In can still exist. And so it's this fantastic thing. They both are great.
Well, and I think it's one of those things too. Like, American audiences don't like to read their movies.
No, they don't.
So they don't like subtitles. They don't like foreign language films. And there's a great story to tell, and it's kind of like how I feel about the Miyazaki films. Like we're showing a Miyazaki film
Yeah.
every month through
Yep.
November, okay?
Yep.
Which is super cool. I love watching the Japanese versions because you get a different flavor of the character performances in Japanese with the subtitles. But I understand why they have to dub it for American audiences and with an A-list cast and all that stuff. And I honestly, I watch the dub versions. They're so good. So I'm always torn on this subject because I wanna respect the original, piece of art. But
Right.
it's so important to get things in front of audiences.
It's hard, yeah. It's like, what do you want more? Do you want people to appreciate the original, or do you want the people who refuse to watch the original to come to this new version? And not necessarily would let me in, but I mean, there's multiple versions of, like, you got the Old Boy remake coming out,
Oh yeah.
which is, Old Boy to me is one of the best movies made of the last 20 years,
Right.
and now you have Adam Wingard, who I think is one of our best filmmakers working today, is going to remake that movie. Well, not a lot of people liked his Blair Witch remake. I liked it. You didn't like it.
I didn't like
You
it.
didn't like it. You didn't like it.
I'm a Blair Witch guy. Not necessarily found footage, but just the Blair Witch was good with
I
me.
thought it did a nice job of equaling the fear that I felt the first time I watched the original Blair Witch.
Right.
It did enough to separate itself, but also create. I mean, that little glimpse of the witch that you see in this new one, I was like, whoa, no, I don't ever want to see that thing ever again. And I thought it was scary. And now, so that guy is going to do. He's now doing. He's got the Netflix movie. I'm blanking right now, but it's a remake of a Japanese anime coming out.
We do that a lot here in America, don't we?
Yeah, anymore. They're
remake
gonna be
them in
doing
our
it a
But
lot.
they should be. They should
agree.
be. They're different cultures. You gotta introduce. You're gonna have a small group of people that just want the original stuff, but you're gonna have a larger group of people that refuse to watch that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Death Note's in
Death
production.
Note. That's what I'm talking about. Death Note right now. Yeah.
There's a live action Akira, which I
Yep.
think has already finished principal.
And they wanted Jordan Peele to do that after Get Out, and he said, "No, I'm not doing that." So
Yeah.
so good for him.
I'm not that much of a purist. I mean, I'll watch
Nope.
something else. Netflix has gotten to the trend lately of putting a lot of foreign films in there.
Well, and
A
they
lot of stuff they produce, and then a lot of foreign films.
But a lot of people aren't given that. Your avenue for that foreign film used to be the Weinstein Company,
Uh-huh.
and they're not doing that anymore. So Netflix is now snooped in to operate and introduce that kind of film to a different crowd. You see that with Bong Joon-ho's new movie, which is, I think it comes out in the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I think.
Amazon has a huge
Yep.
slate
And
of
they got Ted
streamable South
Yep.
Korean.
Yes, they do.
Yep. And Ted Hope's a big proponent of bringing that kind of film to Amazon. They want to be that prestige sort of on-demand, sort of non-theatrical release kind of studio, non-studio kind of deal. But to be a purist, I agree with you. I actually think that Rob Zombie's Halloween is not blasphemous to the first one.
I don't think it's, to me, it's a different story.
I agree with you.
It's a different story. It's a completely different movie.
Equally scary.
The
Yeah.
opening scene of that movie
I'd
is
say
great,
yes.
and it's terrifying.
The ending scene of that film, you show, for my whole life, I never saw Michael Myers run one time, and Rob Zombie had Michael Myers run with a 2x4,
That's not cool.
and I was like, I am out of here.
Yes.
Get me out of here.
Well, Michael Myers, the shape
Yeah.
is one thing, but when Rob Zombie, he becomes this 7 foot tall.
I agree.
I
never watch. I've always watched every Halloween film, all the way through.
Right.
Resurrection. I don't know why. I've seen that multiple times. Why? I don't know.
H2O.
Busta Rhyme. H2O is a good film. H2O gets a good rap. Bad rap. Not a good rap, a bad rap. But H2, Rob Zombie's H2, is the only Halloween film I've never finished.
Really? You finished part 3.
Yeah, I like part 3 gets a bad rap because
Yes,
there's no Michael Myers.
Exactly. They were trying to go a different route and just do different stories in the Halloween.
That's what they were trying to do from
and
part
it was
2
all
on,
wrong.
and nobody would approve it. So they were suckered into
They,
a
Joshua,
Halloween
they didn't call me because, brother, I would have approved it. I'm telling you right now.
Well, I agree
That's the
with
way
you.
we should have gone.
And we would go that way now. But back then, they would not go that way. So,
The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Would you believe it got 87 on Rotten Tomatoes?
yes, I would. I would actually think it would be higher, but I believe that.
And I've been over here diddling around with Google, and I cannot find the budget for that film anywhere. Several places I found not applicable.
I think it was minimal. I
It
think
Had to have been.
Because it's in euros and we don't understand it here.
I think it was scary. What did you think of the first time you saw it? I thought it
Well,
was
I've
scary.
only seen it once, and I was waiting for them to, and I'm not get too much into spoilers, but I was waiting to find out why and how. And
Do you want every horror film you watch explained like that?
no. And when I was finished, I'm like, okay, that's it. And I was like, yeah, that works. Okay. But I was expecting
See,
one more scene.
This is a thing that comes up, Johnny, and I my writing partner and I, same guy, John. We got notes back from.
It's not Crazy John, is it? Not Crazy.
It is
Tim?
Crazy John. His name is Crazy John.
It
That's
is
what I
not.
have it in my cell phone
This
as.
is not Crazy John. So we got some notes. We said that one of our screenplays that we worked on out to some readers, and some of the notes we got back was, the characterization wasn't strong enough, the characters aren't deep enough, you want it to be this. And I started going back and thinking about, because basically we made a space slasher movie. That's what it is.
It is, and it is awesome, you guys. It is awesome.
I'm hoping other people think that. Thank you very much.
Josh thinks that, and that's all you need, Mitch. That's all you need.
But, we were thinking about it. It was like, what do you know about Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween? I mean, what do you really know about her? You know a little bit about her, right? Like, even Jaws.
Yeah.
Like, the sheriff's a good family man, and
Yep.
they show a lot of good
Yeah.
characterization. He's afraid of the water. It's still one of my favorite conversations ever in a movie.
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's only an island if you look at it from the water.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's one of those things, like, you have to build up characters. It's like that Stephen King model, right? You got to build these characters, you got to get people invested in them, and then you got to try and kill them for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Right? That's a horror movie. So my thought process was, how much do you really need to know about the story? But I think Johnny's right in that sometimes you have to arm the audience with a little bit of knowledge so they understand the rules of the universe, because that's kind of a facet of the genre.
I would agree with that. And I think that, again, not to go to too many spoilers for Autopsy, but I feel like it does do that. And I feel like it gives you enough that you need to know,
Sure.
but then I feel like it cuts you off. But
Yeah.
I feel like the final scene, not to go too many spoilers here,
Kind of hard not to do.
It
isn't
is.
When we're talking about a movie you like.
but if you compare it to a Halloween type thing, how's it any different than a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees, the final scene of that kind of thing?
Well, that's just it. And I guess what I enjoyed about that, the difference. Halloween, it started, you knew what was going on from the start. In The Autopsy of Jane Doe, you can do a prequel.
Yes, you can.
You can do a prequel.
Do you need the prequel, though?
I want the prequel. I don't.
Okay,
You don't.
so
you
it's-
don't need it, but I want it.
Okay, so it starts out, you find out there's some horrific stuff. And the cop says, what does he say? It doesn't look like they were trying to keep somebody in. It looks like they were trying to get out.
Yes.
Okay. So then you cut to the final, whatever it is, and it's an ambulance, and it's no different than any Michael Myers scene you've ever seen in your life.
It's open. The movie is open-ended on each side.
And
It's
so-
ready for a sequel and it's ready for a prequel.
While
I don't
Autopsy
need the prequel to tell me what happened
Right.
or how it started. I could enjoy a prequel as a new movie.
But Autopsy of Jane Doe is, you see it and it's like, yeah, this is a horror film. It's scary. It's a this kind of movie. But really, what it is your trope type horror film.
I agree. Jane Doe herself was the best character in the movie
Exactly.
to me.
And she does nothing. The
Literally
entire
lays
film.
there.
Yep.
In theory, she doesn't really
And
lay
it's
there. She
fantastic.
does a whole lot.
Is that's Ophelia Lovabond?
Yes, that's the
Lovey
and
Bond?
she did there. And
Lova Bond?
She did nothing but lay there. They talk about that in podcasts and all sorts of stuff.
Sure.
About how she's the best performer in the entire film because
Absolutely.
she's actually doing every scene.
You could feel her, in that room.
Yeah.
It wasn't just it's something.
I think
Beyonce,
Ashley
it's a good
Green,
movie.
Ashley
Enjoy.
Green from Twilight
Have to go
actually
see it.
does pretty well in that film.
Uh-huh.
As the
That's where I saw her.
girlfriend, innocent girlfriend. Hey, she does well. She does well as that role, I guess.
It is the Autopsy of Jane Doe right here at Hamilton 16 IMAX, part of the Midnight Movies presented by Scarlet Lane Brewing and Horrorhound. We're doing it live at midnight, right?
Yeah, we are.
So when are we starting with the festivities on the veranda upstairs?
So we're going to kick them off at 10 p.m. We're going to be up there. We're going to be pouring beer samples.
Brother, that's 15 minutes from now. Is it just you here tonight, or are you going to have backup?
Nick and Elise will be here.
Ah.
And it's sort of the trifecta of Scarlet Lane's horror people.
So we're going to hit you. You're going to hit them from all angles, then,
Yeah,
right?
we're going to hit them. We're going to be doing some sampling of some beer, some Asteria or Australia IPA.
Uh-huh.
We're going to be sampling that upstairs, watching some public domain horror films.
Gotcha.
Just kind of hanging out.
Now, you have a lot of beers there. Did you hear that? You have a lot of beers. This is Scarlet Lane.
I thought you were looking at my stomach for a minute. I was like, how rude. I do not.
I am grown over here, I promise you.
Yeah.
My voice does. Dorian Gray. Okay, you just come out with that? Is that
Based
a
off
brand
of
new?
Dorian Gray.
Right.
It's a Dorian
Day.
Just Dorian Day, yeah. So Dorian is one of our flagship beers. It's our stout. It's an oatmeal stout. So today was in celebration of Dorian oatmeal.
This is what everybody, and Sean was posted about earlier. Sean Webster?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, we were sharing that
Oh,
earlier.
yeah.
The stuff that you don't make private on your page, we can share,
yeah.
brother. I'm just telling you
There's
this.
no need to do that attack right there. I made it public.
You got a lot of good beers. You got a lot of good beers over there. What is your best seller?
It just depends on the day. Dorian could be our bestseller. Lenore, which is our dry hop pale ale. Tiberius, our double IPA, is a pretty popular one.
That's a good beer.
Thank you.
It's yummy.
It just depends really on what the flavor, what the day is, what the temperature is. Many.
Can you tell me about Scarlet Lane and the names of these beers?
So Scarlet, Elise and Nick had a dog, a longtime dog of theirs named Scarlet. She passed away. Elise's maiden name is Lane. So she wanted to honor both of those. So she went with Scarlet Lane. And then they're big literary people. So a lot of our beers take from the names of either, Portrait of Dorian Gray or Lenore, all this kind of stuff. We
Quote
try.
the Raven,
Yep.
Nevermore.
And we do our flights. Our flights are actually on hollowed out books that you can put the flight glasses on.
That's cool.
We do a lot of stuff like that. We're big into the arts side of things, and
Sure.
either be it books, literature, which is the same thing I just said twice. Film, art, any of it. We do what we can to promote that, be it our beers or cultural movements like Horrorhound, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
So,
Very cool place.
yeah,
Right there in McCordsville.
trying to be. Yeah.
Right there in McCordsville. Now, do you have a gateway beer? I'm a domestic guy. One of my other shows has a PBR sponsorship, has for years, and I drink old style like it's water.
Yeah.
So I haven't really. Everybody's kind of got a gateway beer that can bring you into the craft world.
I think it just depends on who you are. I think what you mentioned earlier is like Sun King and us and probably 9 other breweries are actually currently collaborating on a beer right now. That the Indiana Brewery Committee sort of puts together every year. So we're all collaborating on that, trying to make that sort of a gateway for a lot of people. But for us, it's hard to say what that gateway is. Laughing Water is probably our lightest beer that we have.
Sure.
That's our Australian sparkling ale. And that's going to be sort of the closest thing that we would get to sort of a cream ale or a Bud Light or a Miller Lite.
Right.
I kind of want to try that. It looks
You
yummy.
should try that.
So is that you just open a beer for me and say, "Shut up, Nancy boy," and drink it? Is that what you're saying?
This is we do multiple variants of it. So this is sorry, I got
That's
far
okay.
away from the mic. So this is what oh, I'm sorry. This is
You got
a
an opener?
variant. This is the tangerine variant of the Laughing Water. You can't have that. Give me
No, I
that
can't
beer.
have
Give me
that.
that beer. And so this is going to be more along the lines of like a mimosa type deal.
You brought an opener with you, right? There we go.
I
Oh,
did.
everybody's got one but me. Hi, Noah's got an opener.
I used to have one.
Noah, where'd you get the beer opener, brother?
Yeah, I thought I used to. Who has one? All right, let's pop it open real quick. We got to get this. So this is going to be sort of like a mimosa. This is a tangerine version of what our most accessible
smells
beer
good,
is going to
too.
be. We do a lime version of this one.
That's good, brother.
You can smell it.
All right, I'll
You can
smell it.
open it and smell it. But I swear, if you try and take a drink of that, I'm going to rip it out of your hands.
We're staying legal right here at Hamilton 69
Yes, we
Max.
are.
That's really good. I
There's
like
promise
it.
you
police
that.
supervising this place.
That
Yeah.
is something.
I'm the DD.
That is something. Where can we find Scarlet Lane,
So,
the brick and mortar building? How do we get there?
Reminds me of Blue Moon. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
It's one. What's it? You like it, Mitch?
Yeah, it's good.
So we're
It's got a different palate to it.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's not necessarily your beer loving palate is what it's going to hit at first.
Sure.
It's just kind of it's a refreshing summer drink that trying to make accessible to if you like it, you like it. If you don't, then well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But so we're in McCordsville.
No, I do like it. I was just trying not to say
no.
anything like the person who just came over you and asked, "What are y'all doing?" while you're on the air. It's people just.
I
get-
should have gave that person the beer. I should. I didn't see that person. So we're in McCordsville, 7724 Depot Road. We're sort of right off of 67.
Very easy to get to.
Very easy to get to.
Very cool.
And yeah, we're doing. You got a tap house that's open Tuesday through Sunday. You can come. You can try all of our beers you want. And it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun there. We do a lot of events. We Friday the 13th this year, we're doing a big Friday the 13th themed Halloween party. We're actually going to have cabins in the brewery.
Oh, very cool.
And
that's
we're gonna
awesome.
Be dressed up as counselors from Friday the 13th. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so we do a lot of things like that. We're just trying,
Going back to that, in the early Friday the 13th movies, Jason didn't run then, remember?
Right.
He just walked, but you knew he was going to catch you.
have,
He started getting faster is when it started getting crazier.
Well,
that's to me, that's when they kind of jumped the shark.
you have to get faster when everybody starts getting away.
No, these dingy blondes. The dingy blondes will either run upstairs when you're in the house, or
Here's-
they're going to fall over everything.
So
Now all the dingy blondes will
I've
be
been
sending me
doing,
emails.
Yeah,
over
no,
here.
I got you.
I love the dingy blondes. Don't get me wrong.
I've been
Didn't he, in the first one, I seem to remember him like impaling someone in bed with like a javelin or something.
Well, it wasn't
or a
him in
spear.
the first one.
Well, actually,
Mitch.
he is correct because in the very last scene, it was him that came through the window with the pitchfork.
No. The last scene of the very first one was Jason popping up from the
Oh,
water.
shit, I'm thinking of part two. You're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, you guys are
I'm
both
gonna,
wrong.
I'm gonna love you calling me out on this crap.
I've been
Josh.
wrong. I've been wrong many times. This
You're both fired.
gonna be a recurring
This is now
theme of
my
my life.
podcast. Get out of
Joshua,
here.
I've been married twice. I'm used to being wrong, brother. Believe me.
No, so you think that Jason shouldn't run, but I've been playing this the Friday the 13th video game.
I was just ask you.
Yeah. And you think it's like Jason shouldn't run until you play as Jason and you're like, why can't you run? Why can't you run? They're getting away. Like Jason should totally run, right? And that's that's what it is. It's like that's my justification for it. Jason should totally run because those assholes are getting away.
What'd you think of the remake when they showed you how he popped up everywhere?
I don't know. I didn't like
I
it.
thought it was too long. Literally, they could have.
It's better than Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
I concur.
But I think that we got Brian Fuller rebooting the new Friday the 13th series. So from Hannibal,
Uh-huh.
and, so he's
Uh-huh.
he tweeted the other day he's going to be taking it over. So
That series has some serious turkeys. It's like
oh, yeah.
you could do a lot with the reboot of the franchise.
What would you do it if you had to remake a movie? Any horror movie out there? What would you want to remake?
what you got? Give me one. Give me one to remake.
Well, that's just it. What would it be?
Which one would you
What would
choose?
your favorite
Well,
one to
it
choose?
would have been Halloween up until David Gordon Green and Danny McBride took it over. Then I was like, okay, I don't need it because Danny McBride's doing Halloween.
Danny
Thumbs
McBride's
up.
doing Halloween.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I
Danny McBride, David Gordon Green are writing and doing the new Halloween film.
Okay, this is going to be interesting.
Next Halloween, 2018 comes out.
Oh my God.
I think for me it would just depend on what it is. If I was doing Friday the 13th, I think the thing you're missing with Jason Voorhees is that fear aspect, and I think you lose that by trying to over-explain that. And I think what you need from a slasher icon in 2017 is to give the fans what they want, and all they want is a killing machine. So you would almost do it like point of view, POV not found footage,
Uh-huh.
but POV style.
Point of view,
So
yeah.
Jason Voorhees, that's who
Is
you
killing
see
you,
the
yeah.
entire movie from his point of view, and you're killing, you're slashing, you're doing everything. That's
That
all.
sounds cool.
That's all people want to see. From a Nightmare on Elm Street, that's a 3D type of deal. You take it into Dream World. You go into Freddy's world. That's
Yeah.
how you do Freddy. You make him scary again, and you make him almost, VR, virtual reality. That's how you kind of do Freddy Krueger these days.
Sure.
You got to make these icons scary as hell, and that's how you do it.
Mitch, I think we need to search for some funding for this young man, and let's put some movies together, brother.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to a friend of mine about a reboot he'd like to do of Nightmare on Elm Street, and it would be a really cool idea. I'm not going to talk about it because we might actually write it and try to do it, but
There is
it's cool.
There is some guys doing Jason and Friday the 13th. I saw the trailers. They're trying to get the money to finish it.
Yeah.
And I follow them on Facebook, just not real heavily.
You just gotta.
It looks pretty good from what
You
they're
gotta
doing.
approach them the right way. You gotta figure them out. Hellraiser's scary.
Yeah, the first two.
Yeah.
You can't make Hellraiser cheesy. Okay, what happens when you open this puzzle box? Well, all hell breaks loose. So you make that scary. You make that terrifying. You make people like this guy terrified to open that puzzle box. Don't.
Hellraiser is a weird movie in the
It's-
genre
it's-
in that it's all bad guys.
Yeah.
There are no
There's
good
no
people.
good guys. And that's
No
how
one
you
is
gotta
worth.
do.
No one is worth saving. No one's redeemable. Like they're just
Exactly.
all bad.
And that's what you have to dive into with these horror icons. We're Freddy. People love Freddy. He's a child molester.
Yeah.
He killed kids. People love that dude. People have that guy tattooed on their skin. A child molester.
I
Dads,
can't
moms,
think
have
of
that dude
another
tattooed
actor.
on their skin. That's bizarre.
I cannot think of another actor that could have played him. I mean, they
Well,
had
I think
several, but
there's
Robert
people.
Englund.
I think there's people. But I think Robert Englund's great, but I think there's people that can do it. And I think you just got to give people that opportunity, and you got to have a fan base that is willing to accept that actor.
Well, the new Freddy didn't work for me.
Well,
to
that
me,
was
he's
more of a
always going to
makeup.
be Bad News Bears.
Listen, did
so,
you see Jackie Earle Haley on Preacher?
I have not seen any of
I
Preacher.
love
believe me.
Jackie
Okay.
Earle Haley.
If Jackie Earle Haley on Preacher was
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger, people would love it.
I wrote in Psycho Drive, the movie we're currently trying to get sold and stuff. I wrote a part specifically for him.
He's great. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's scary.
He's creepy, man.
And he just doesn't get it. The makeup ruined every shot he had at being the new Freddy Krueger.
He looks like the uncle you wouldn't let be alone with your kids.
Well, what was the movie where he was?
You know what I'm saying?
He already played that. What was that movie where he was the molester, and the end of the movie he cut his genitals off? What was that movie? It was a drama.
Oh, yeah. That's got a great scene with the swimming pool.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. What was that freaking movie? You don't know that.
No,
I
you
don't
got
know.
me scared.
Stop looking
I
at
don't
me.
know
You don't know
either.
that movie.
Something, little things.
Patrick Wilson is in it. Patrick Wilson.
And we'll think about it when we go off the air because now we're short on time. It is live from, we're right here with Midnight Movies, presented by Scarlet Lane Brewing and Horrorhound.
Yeah.
We're doing it live right here from Hamilton 16 IMAX, our movie night with JO Media Home. We're going live with this movie night, with this movie tonight at midnight, right?
Yep.
The Autopsy of Jane Doe is what we're going to do.
Great.
Now, we should be setting up upstairs now. We got like 2 minutes to 10. Let's get up there and do this thing, guys.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Josh,
you.
thanks for sitting in with
I'd
us.
love
for
to
coming
come
out, Josh.
back. Bring me on back.
You heard him right
I
there,
love it.
Mitch.
All right.
All right, let's
Every
do this.
Friday
Do it.
night I'm here.
DeAndre.
Just to taunt you.
DeAndre and Noah. Thanks for sitting in, guys.
No problem.
problem.
No problem. I had
All
a
right,
good
thanks,
time.
guys.
Our
Great
new
time.
interns, we're going to break them in good. Until next time, this is Johnny, and live from